here's another weird and random thing that I'll be doing. So this SCSI controller here that I have slotted in the PCI slot is an Adaptec AHA 2940U, which dates back to about 1996, though this card in particular looks like it was manufactured in 97. And we're going to be using it to get Windows 11 running on this 72 gig compact branded SCSI drive. The problem is there aren't any signed drivers for it. So how are we going to do that? That's what we're doing in this video. Okay, so to just get started, let's go ahead and plug in our HP branded flash drive. And now we'll go ahead and select our disk image, which will be our Windows 10 20H2 English 32-bit version. So let me just copy the address from there. So the reason why we're doing this, and we have to change this to MBR, is that then we can bypass most of the system requirement checks that Windows 11 makes. Like, obviously it's still going to make the same checks as what Windows 10 would make instead, but it'll do the trick. And another thing is that we need the 32-bit release in order to use these 32-bit drivers here for the SCSI card. So let's go ahead and just start that. And this is the same flash drive that I used in order to actually do it in the first place before I started recording. So I'm fine with this. And we'll just let that run. And there we go. Now it is finished, and we'll go ahead and open up the drive in a new window. So next up, we'll go into our sources folder and delete the install.wim file, because we will not be using that anymore since that's for Windows 10 32-bit. And instead, we'll go and open up the Windows 11 ISO in 7-zip, go into its own sources folder, and drag the install.wim from there onto the flash drive. So we'll let that run now. And now we are finally done. So the last thing that we need to do now is just copy these two files over onto here. Well, folders. So this is, just to reiterate, the 32-bit drivers that we'll be using during Windows setup. And this one, based on these instructions that I've written right here, are the stuff that we will be needing in order to actually get it to run. So yeah, I'll go ahead and copy this over as well. I might as well. And let's close that, and we'll move on over to the test setup. So we now have our current test setup installed. Well, not installed, but set up here. We have a Core i5-2400, 12 gigs of RAM from 2 mismatched sticks because I do not have anything else. We also have the drive, the SCSI drive, which turns out to be a HP tagged, compact rebranded, Maxtor rebrand of a Quantum designed drive. And yeah, that's a bit of a mouthful. Anyway, and lastly, the star of the show, the Adaptec AHA 2940U, a SCSI controller card from around, I'd say, 1995 or 1996. And you bet that it's going to bottleneck our drive, because while this drive can perform up to, I think, if I remember correctly, in the ballpark of 50 megabytes per second transfer rates. The card can only do... Oh, and I dropped my flash drive. The card can only do 10. Anyway, let's go ahead and plug our USB flash drive in now. Let's plug it in over here. Let's pivot to the screen and turn it on as soon as I get the camera adjusted. Okay, let's turn it on. Oh, I forgot that this screen does not like turning on automatically when connected to HDMI. So we'll just wait a moment. You can hear the drive spinning up right now. There's the Adaptec thing, and you can see up there in the corner 1996 copyright. So it's certainly quite old. And let's boot from USB now. Wait for it. I can say that it is running. You can see the activity light on the flash drive there. And there's the Windows 10 boot screen. And this is entirely a result of the fact that we're using a Windows 10 installation ISO with the Windows 11 files swapped onto it. So we'll click Install Now here. Let's just get the product key and we'll select Windows 11 Pro. Though it doesn't matter what version of Windows 11 you select, I'm just choosing Pro here in this case. And we'll select Custom Install Windows Only. And notice we don't have any drives despite the SCSI drives, being hooked up. So now we click on Load Driver, Browse. We'll go into our drive and select the 32-bit drivers folder right here. And now we have the controller card. And this driver is from like 2006, so it is very old, but it works, so whatever. And now you can hear the hard drive activity a little bit. So yeah, just gotta wait some more again. And yeah, notice here it says load driver. To continue installing Windows, use the load driver option to install 32-bit and signed 64-bit drivers. It says right there, installing an unsigned 64-bit driver isn't supported, so Windows might not work if you install it. And that is what we'll have to tackle after the fact. So once it's, done and rebooted, we'll have to go back into the installer and use the command line to install the drivers instead. So I already have Windows 11 on this drive from, just testing things out. So we'll just wipe the drive, create a new partition again. And now we'll go ahead and install there. And once that is done, we will, as I said before, reboot back into the installer USB and install drivers manually through there. And it looks like we're almost done, so In a moment, it'll restart and we'll jump back into the installer again. Restarting time. Okay, let's just have it do it on its own. Alrighty, let's just go back through the steps again. Repair, troubleshoot, command prompt. C, and I'm gonna go ahead and rename the driver folder so then it's less of a headache for me to type. Okay, so that's renamed now, and let's go into the driver x64 folder. And one more time, whoops. And so you can see the 3 driver files there now. And from here we will use, actually let's switch to E to show that. Oh wait, I almost forgot a step. Hold on a second. Oh. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to reboot one more time because I forgot one step, and that is to first go into the installer, load the driver, the 32-bit driver, and then back out of it all the way back to the point where we can use command prompt. So yeah, this is what I get for doing a completely unplanned video. Okay, so now that we're back in the installer, let's go ahead and click next, and we're gonna go into the actual installer portion again one more time, but this time instead of following all the way through, we'll get to the point where it asks to load drivers. I don't really know why I chose Windows 11 Pro there, but I just did. Custom, load driver, browse, choose this folder again, and it'll load the drivers. So let that load for a moment. Okay, and we get our warning message again, but instead of continuing on to installation, we'll back all the way out. Press the X to quit, and then we'll click on repair your computer. And now, because we have the drivers loaded, we'll be able to access the drive, which will be mounted at E. And you can see right there, we have the Windows installation folders still here present. And so let's switch back over to C. Let's go into our driver x64 folder, which was originally renamed something Adaptec, AHA, whatever. Then we'll CD one more time into that folder there. Whoops. And now you can see our 3 driver files right here. djsvs.inf is what we're going to need to use. So now we will fire up dism, which is for Windows image management, and we want to do /image :C, or no, not C, E, whoops, I bumped the tripod again, E /, sorry if I'm kind of taking a moment. I am in fact walking between the camera and the tutorial that I have pulled up on my main computer, which I will link in the description of the video. Okay, and then /add driver, colon again, and then our path to the driver, if I remember correctly. Yep. Okay. C /driver x64 tech AIC. Wait. Yeah. AIC 78XX /djsvs.inf. Oops. And then one very important thing that we want to do at the very end of this is to include the string or argument /force unsigned. And this will allow the 64-bit unofficial driver to be installed to the system image that's currently, written to the E drive, which is our SCSI drive right here. And without that argument with, forced unsigned and all, it will be unable to use that driver on boot up, and you'll enter or encounter another black screen. Plus, the whole failure to boot and then rebooting the computer thing. Anyway, yeah, now it is successfully installed. We can close out of this. And now we can reboot. So we'll continue on to Windows 11 now. And this should, okay, it automatically reboots the computer, and from there it should boot into the Windows 11 out-of-box experience. Okay, we'll ignore the boot from USB part, and this time we'll let it boot from the hard drive. And once it hits the out-of-box experience screen, that's when we know that we have successfully installed an unsigned driver before Windows 11 has been fully installed. This is how you are able to install Windows 11 on a SCSI controller card from 1996. And there we go. The Windows 11 out-of-box experience. It took quite a while for it to load, considering how ridiculously bottlenecked it is on storage, but we did it, and I am not continuing any further beyond this point because, yes, while I did fully install Windows 11 once already, as far as, being able to get the recording of it booting on the SCSI drive and all, I am not doing it a second time. So, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm out. See ya.